Well, first of all, glad to be here and glad to be sharing our season with all of you. And we just had our media day on Thursday, so I'm not going to repeat everything that we did on Thursday, but if there's any questions about any of that, I'd be happy to answer them. I can just say that we're excited to finally be having this week where we get a chance to step on the court as a unit as opposed to competing against each other for the last over 2 weeks. And I've really liked some things that we're doing in the gym, but it's definitely time to see exactly where we stand and where we measure up and the things that we really need to start putting our focus on in practice. You know, we can guess as coaches, but until you get out there and compete against another team, it's a little bit challenging sometimes after 2.5 weeks of doing that. Obviously, as Derek said, we start off with a tough one on our schedule, playing number 4 Texas. Looking forward to just their volleyball environment in general. Gregory Gym is an awesome place to play. We'll have a lot of alumni there as well, so we're looking forward to having some purple in the crowd. You look at Texas, they had a very, very young team last year. Won the Big 12 and also got beat out in the Elite 8 by BYU. So returning a lot of those players. I think they're only missing one starter. And preseason picked, obviously, first in the Big 12. They have Player of the Year in Micaiah White, who was last year, and also preseason. They have the preseason Freshman of the Year on their team as well. 2 other first-team all-conference players. So just a lot of strong returners. And I just look at Texas as a team that does everything well, and they're extremely big and physical. So we'll see a lot of physical teams early in our preseason, but I think Texas probably will be the most physical that we'll see. So looking forward to just seeing where we stack up against a team like Texas. I think our kids are excited about it. I think at times, we really don't know what to expect. I think a lot of things depend on what's happening on our side of the net as well. But they're a team, for example, you try to serve to get teams out of system. Texas is going to be a team that does really well out of system as well. They have pins that are very capable of putting the ball away even when you serve tough. So some of the things that you try to strive for might not work as well as they normally do when you do those types of things. But again, just getting an opportunity to see where we match up. And then we have a very short turnover time because we have to drive to San Marcos to play Liberty in Texas State. So we play Liberty in the morning. So a very quick turnaround from our Texas match. So hopefully the grind of preseason will prepare us for our ability to be able to transition quickly to playing Liberty. And again, just basing it off of stats and things that happened last year, Liberty is a team, their coach is in his second year and really made a huge turnaround for that team in the 1 year that he's been there. We look for Liberty to be a team. They have one pin that was extremely tough last year that played mostly right side, but we look for her to possibly playing on the outside. They have very active middles. Setter of the year last year, that's also very active. So those are some key players that initially we'll start our focus on, but obviously we'll learn about the team a little bit more. Because I know their coach, I think they'll be very defensive oriented as well. So we look for them to be that team that pursues balls and keeps the balls alive. But again, the video we have is all last year. So you can pick up some things, but again, they'll be a different team just like we are this year as well. And then rounding out the weekend with Texas State, who had a phenomenal year last year. They ended up winning their conference. They won the first round at the SA tournament against Rice and then got beat out by Texas. A lot of returners back. When you look at their preseason, they basically are taking every award: Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Setter of the Year for preseason. So a lot of great returners back for them. I think the cool thing is their coach has been there for 40 years, almost 900 wins. So looking forward to just having that interaction with Coach Chisholm and the amazing things that she's done at Texas State. But as you can see, a very challenging opening weekend for us, and we're just anxious to get out there and see where we stack up.
How much do you hope to learn about your team taking on this weekend challenge?
I think, that's the biggest thing, because we always talk about how we schedule in a way that's very high risk, high reward type of scheduling. So really the focus is on what we're doing and how we're progressing and our ability to, get knocked down and get back up again, but also getting better each time we step on the court. So we're going to step on the court together 3 times this weekend and against 3 very different opponents, but three very strong opponents. So we have to make sure our focus is on the right things. And obviously, you step on the court to win. You know, we want to win. That's our goal. We're going to put ourselves in a position strategically to do some of those things. But especially early in the season for us, it's about growing. It's about we're always going to have that chance at the end to win a conference tournament, to put us what our ultimate goal is to make it to the NCAA tournament and try to win a national championship. So how we grind out this preseason makes a big difference in what we do in conference. So being able to take one step at a time and get better daily is a big focus for us.
Take the coaching apart from that. How excited are you about Friday's match?
Yeah, you know, a lot of people have asked me how I will feel about that match, and I really don't know. But I'm excited to be in Austin, where Sydney's at, and get to see her maybe a little bit. I don't even know. Maybe it's just going to be across the net. But I'll get to stay for Sunday's match when they play USC, so I'll probably feel a lot better about watching that match than competing against her in the match on Friday. But just a really cool opportunity. I'm really thankful for their coaching staff to allow us to do something like this. They're coming back here next year, so just the opportunity to have a home and away with a type of team like Texas, and allowing Sydney to be able to have her family watch, I think is a really cool gesture on their part. But, you know, it's match time, so I think my focus is definitely going to be, you know, on our team and what we're doing. And if picking on Sydney is one of them, then that's what it's going to be.
I was going to say, do you have, like, Bailey serve Sydney, like, first point?
I don't know. I don't know if Bailey will be in the first point, but yeah, I think, you know, both of those two are extremely competitive. And so I think, you know, when they get on the court, I don't even think they're even going to register that they're playing against each other. I mean, I think they do a really good job of keeping what's important. And I think they're going to be extremely competitive against each other, but just like it was another opponent in my mind. It's a little bit, but to be honest, the most has been from Jed Smith, our strength coach. Sydney was home for a little bit, and she had the opportunity to work out a little bit in our weight room, and Jed does a good job of trying to get into people's heads, so he's done a really good job of having that kind of talk back and forth with Sydney, for sure.
I heard rumors that there's like a T-shirt out there, House Divided or something.
Yeah.
Do you own one of those?
I don't have one. There's a few for family, I think, but I am family, but I don't have one of those. Mine's all you and I.
But going back a little bit, I think you had a scrimmage this past weekend, purple gold scrimmage. Did you learn some things there? Were some position battles settled?
Yeah, I think as far as position battles, it probably made it even more of a position battle, if that makes sense. I think we saw a lot of really good things. I do think one of the things that we, you know, whether it's good or bad, I think our level at that purple and gold scrimmage was probably higher than what our practice has been the last probably 5 days, I would say. And I think it's a positive that our level was high on purple and gold night. But as we pointed out, that's not something we're going to sustain. That's not something that we're going to be okay with, that was higher level than what our practices have been. And I think when you have, you know, basically 11 out of our 17 underclassmen, you'll have a little bit of roller coaster like that. So it was a really good opportunity for us to point out, you know, this is how we want to practice day in and day out. You know, it's not just show up because you're not going to sustain something like that. You're going to eventually go back to how you practice every day. And so it was really good for us to be able to point some things out like that. I think it was great to see, because it is very different from practice. We had a decent crowd, so see how people react in some of those situations. And then I thought there was a few people that did a really good job of putting themselves in a position to be a part of the talk now. I think this is a year where we're definitely going to use a lot of different lineups, especially early, to just get a feel, even if it's the same personnel, maybe in different positions, but also even different personnel throughout the year.
I think Libero was one of the spots. Was that settled? Who's going to replace, you know, a pretty good player?
Yeah, you know, and especially with Kendall being the Libero for the last 4 years, it's tough to replace her for sure. But I think right now I look at both, or actually all three, Abby, Taylor, and Bailey will all have opportunities to have a chance to be in that position throughout this weekend. I I think they're all very interchangeable in where they play in the backcourt, so that allows for some flexibility. And, you know, it could be a year where we use different players depending on who we're playing and what we feel. Do we need a better middle back at this time and somebody does a little bit better job in that position? Or is somebody going to just, you know, start to separate themselves a little bit more? But right now they all have a lot of different strengths, and so I can foresee us using all three of them in that position to start. All right, thank you.